Millions of kids struggle with learning, processing, and social emotional difficulties. These challenges interfere with their ability to reach their full potential. Dr. Karen Wilson is here to help. Her extensive background in pediatric neuropsychology and higher education have prepared her for this unique mission. Listen as she delivers content to inform, educate, and empower parents and educators. This will enable you to identify challenges that kids face and get them on the road to achieving their full potential. This is Diverse Thinking, Different Learning by Child Nexus.
Hello and welcome back to the Diverse Thinking, Different Learning podcast. I am so glad that you have tuned in for another episode. I am solo today, but I am tackling a topic that's often overlooked but deeply significant: the link between dyslexia and mental health. Now, dyslexia is usually seen as a struggle with reading, spelling, and processing language, which it is, but rarely do we connect it with issues like anxiety, depression, or self-esteem challenges. Yet, the mental health component is so crucial, especially given that research indicates that up to 20% of people in the United States have dyslexia, making up as much as 90% of all learning disabilities. And there is growing agreement that interventions for dyslexia not only improve reading skills, but can strengthen self-esteem for many individuals. So in this episode, I'm diving into common misconceptions, untangling persistent myths, and talking about how they contribute to mental health challenges. And I'm also going to explore what recent research tells us about the emotional landscape for individuals with dyslexia. This isn't just about reading. It's about understanding how dyslexia impacts the whole person. Let's start by addressing a long-standing myth. For years, dyslexia was misunderstood, even stigmatized, and in many regards, it still is. Many of you may be familiar with stories like that of a child who was told his low IQ was too low to have dyslexia. And the message was, if you're struggling with reading, you must not be smart. This is a myth that has caused lasting harm to many individuals. It's been a barrier to proper diagnosis, support, and understanding. Today, we know there is no link between intelligence and dyslexia, and it's really time to move past that incredibly damaging stereotype, which can negatively impact a person's self-concept and contribute to mental health issues. Now, something that doesn't often make headlines is how dyslexia can impact mental health, which is the focus today. Studies show that children who face early literacy challenges are more prone to social anxiety and depression. For example, a study published in the Annals of Dyslexia showed that children struggling with reading in grades 2 and 3 were significantly more likely to experience social anxiety by grade 5. Imagine being in a classroom where reading feels like a constant hurdle. The stress, the potential for bullying, and the frustration of not meeting expectations all take a toll. Struggling with reading affects how a child feels about themselves and how they believe others perceive them. Dr. Kenneth Pugh from the Yale Child Study Center explains this really well. He says, if each word takes your entire soul to pull off the page, by the time you reach the end of the sentence, you've forgotten the beginning. This is such a powerful image, one that resonates with anyone who has struggled with reading fluency, which is the accuracy and speed of reading. For kids with dyslexia, reading isn't just a task. It can often feel like a mental marathon, and the emotional weight of this struggle can accumulate over time, leading to feelings, again, of low self-esteem, and in some cases, depression. Now, here's something else to consider. Many children with dyslexia often have co-occurring challenges like ADHD or other anxiety disorders. And this combination of challenges can make kids especially vulnerable. A study in 2023 showed that children with both dyslexia and attention difficulties were at even higher risk for social anxiety. And in a world where so much emphasis is placed on academic success, these children can feel isolated and different. Another factor at play here is stigma. When children with dyslexia are separated for specialized instruction, they can feel singled out, which can sometimes contribute to bullying and negative self-perception. They begin to internalize this idea that they're different or not capable, because there's nothing wrong with being different, but there's definitely a different message that you're sending when kids feel that they are not capable. Research from the Journal of Learning Disabilities confirms that stigma contributes to low self-esteem, making it even harder for these students to thrive. And it doesn't stop at childhood. Adults with dyslexia may carry these feelings of inadequacy into their personal and professional lives. But here's where hope comes in. Studies show that with proper interventions, not only can we improve reading skills, but we can also boost self-esteem and resilience in children with dyslexia. Programs that focus on phonics, spelling, vocabulary, and connected text reading have proven to be effective. And when we add mindfulness and social emotional support, kids begin to feel even more capable, less isolated, and more connected. They learn coping strategies that benefit their mental health and equip them to overcome challenges beyond reading. There's also something else to keep in mind, and that's how early intervention makes a difference. That also means that diagnosing dyslexia as early as possible can help kids access services that make a significant difference. But diagnosis can be complex. Dyslexia varies widely, and there's no single test to confirm it. Instead, diagnosis of dyslexia relies on a combination of assessments and professional expertise. Unfortunately, myths persist, such as the idea that dyslexia means seeing letters backward and that a wait-and-see approach is best. So debunking these myths is essential for moving forward and moving toward a more accurate understanding and earlier intervention and support. Another thing that's really promising is the idea of resilience, which I have talked about on this podcast and will provide a link to that episode in the show notes. Researchers like Dr. Marianne Wolf have found that some children, even with a dyslexia diagnosis, exhibit remarkable resilience. High quality early instruction, I'm going to say it again and again, combined with supportive environments, help children feel that dyslexia doesn't define them, that they are more than a dyslexia diagnosis. Encouraging self-worth, teaching self-advocacy, and helping children understand their own strengths and needs fosters resilience. It's about showing kids that they're just as capable and talented as their peers, just in ways that may look different. I also want to emphasize that we have to recognize that children with dyslexia work incredibly hard to meet the demands placed on them. So it's very important that the adults in their lives ensure, again, that they have the support they need to reach their full potential, whatever that looks like for each individual. Let's remember that dyslexia is a part of a person's identity, but it's not the whole story. Understanding dyslexia means understanding its impact, not just on the ability to read accurately and quickly. It means understanding its impact on mental health, including self-esteem and resilience. Understanding dyslexia means looking beyond the label to see the child, teenager, or adult striving to overcome challenges and find their unique strengths. With evidence-based reading programs, emotional support, and a more compassionate approach to neurodiversity, we can help people with dyslexia not only learn to read, but also thrive emotionally and socially. If you are a parent, educator, or someone living with dyslexia, we have a number of resources at Child Nexus to support you. Blogs, podcast episodes, our YouTube channel, and professionals in our network who can assess for dyslexia, and others who can provide advocacy support or intervention. So be sure to check out our resources list in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you being here. If you know someone who could benefit from this information that I shared today, be sure to share this episode with them. I appreciate you. Until next time, take care.
Thanks for listening to Diverse Thinking, Different Learning by Child Nexus. For more resources, visit us online at childnexus.com.